Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Moving Right Along, a Muppet movie podcast brought to you by toughpigs.com. It's the podcast where we watch The Muppet Christmas Carol 2 minutes at a time and talk about it a lot. I'm your host, Anthony Strand.
And I'm your other host, Ryan Rowe.
And today we're back for another episode. We are joined by our first guest of the season. Who is it?
It's me, Julia Gaskill.
It's you.
Julia Gaskill from toughpigs.com.
From toughpigs.com, the very same site. Hi.
Hi, welcome back. So you were our last guest on Muppets Take Manhattan.
I was, yeah. I was the very last guest, and now I'm y'all's very first guest for this season. I'm really excited.
Yeah, well, we wanted to have you on because you're like Tough Pigs resident. I mean, we wanted to have you on because we always have you on because you're a delightful person.
Yes.
But we wanted to have you on right away for this one because you're like our resident Gonzo expert on Tough Pigs, and this is the Gonzo movie.
It's one of like several Gonzo movies that are going to pop up for y'all as you go through the movies in order. But this is kind of the first time we really get to see Gonzo like take center stage for one of their films. Up until now, he's really kind of just been, Kermit's sidekick. And this is kind of ushering in the era post Jim Henson when they're really trying to figure out like how can we still like make the Muppets work without like maybe Kermit like having as big of a presence just yet, and the answer is Gonzo and Rizzo.
We're all over this.
That duo,
right? Yeah. So we are talking about minutes 3 and 4, I should say, of the Muppet Christmas Carol. In these minutes, we see the rest of the opening credits, and as Julia alluded to, we meet our two narrators. So first, let's talk about the rest of the credits. First, we see director of photography John Fenner, who did not have a long career as a DP, mostly other Muppet stuff. He did Storyteller Jim Henson Hour episodes. He did Muppet Treasure Island, and Brian Henson used him again on Jack and the Beanstalk, the real
He
story.
had also worked on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, which had Henson Creature Shop characters in it.
Oh, right, yeah. So that's our guy, John Fenner. And the only other thing I could find about him is that IMDb has a very cheerful photograph of him and Brian Henson together.
Aw, that's nice.
Oh, nice. I guess they like working together.
They must have, yeah. I mean, he used him on that Jack and the Beanstalk.
Yeah, exactly. We should also just say last week, I think we agreed that this one might be the best looking Muppet movie. So that a lot of the credit for that goes to John
It
Fenner.
is a really good looking Muppet movie, as I'm sure y'all will talk about it like as you go through this entire season, but it's really well shot.
Yeah,
for sure. And that's also it is also well paced thanks to film editor Michael Jablow, the next credit, who also is back from Muppet Treasure Island. We'll see. So much of the crew stayed together for the two movies. But
yeah, I guess it makes sense when they're shooting them both in England, and might as well bring the same crew back.
They're also
together.
pretty back to back. Isn't it like 94 for Christmas Carol, and am I mixing up the years? 96 for Treasure Island?
Yeah, it's
92 and 96.
Okay.
But still very close together.
92
it's still
96, but also December 92 and February 96. So really, it's more like 3 years.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so still pretty close together.
Right. I was going to say Michael Jablow also edited a favorite of mine, Can't Hardly Wait, my favorite movie in 8th grade.
Nice.
My favorite movie in 8th grade. And
that's interesting. That was a favorite of mine when it came out too. I was a little closer to the age of the characters in that movie.
Right.
But
you could just relate to Ethan Embry, and he was aspirational for me.
Exactly.
I've never seen Can't Hardly Wait.
That's fine. You're an adult. Like you don't need to.
Well, it's a time capsule at this point, and it just has a ton of teen actors.
I've heard a lot. I've listened to podcast episodes that have talked in depth about it. I've just never made my way to it. I think I was probably a little too young when it came out.
Sure. Well, let's. My wife Roz is watching through Buffy again for the X number of time.
Yeah,
and there are so many guest stars because Can't Hardly Wait is a movie that is like a very packed teen like senior grad party. There are so many guest stars who I'll just be like, oh, she was in Can't Hardly Wait. He was in Can't Hardly Wait. I say it out loud so often while watching Buffy because they just both needed a ton of teen actors at the same time.
Totally.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about Buffy. We're talking about Muppet Christmas Carol. And
well, I wanted to mention he also edited, among other things, Throw Mama from the Train, The Naked Gun, Boomerang, New York Minute, starring the Olsen twins.
Nice.
She's the Man, the Amanda Bynes movie that is surprisingly good.
It is.
I
was going to say, I've seen New York Minute, and I've seen the Amanda Bynes film. That falls more into my timeline of watching movies as a kid. Yeah.
Makes sense.
And then also the movie Mom and Dad Save the World, which is a really weird sci-fi movie that was in theaters very, very briefly and flopped. But it also has a bunch of puppets and creatures in it because it's about a suburban mom and dad who get kidnapped by aliens and taken to another planet. So there's all kinds of weird creatures in that. So a lot of these crew members good at working with puppets.
Yeah.
It's a good quality to have for the Muppets.
For sure. Well, and speaking of good at working with puppets, the next two credits are co-producer Jerry Jewell and executive producer Frank Oz. And then screenplay by
I'm loving
Jerry
these segues.
Thank you. I just want to keep it. I want to try to keep it interesting.
Yeah.
You know?
Y'all have it down to a science. You're on movie 4 now.
That's the thing, yeah. But yeah, so it's co-producer Jerry Jewell, executive producer Frank Oz, and then screenplay by Jerry Jewell. That's like the Henson Brain Trust here, right? Like, as far as we know, those two guys are kind of in charge of making sure that this feels like the old Muppet stuff.
Yeah, and other than Jerry Nelson, they are the longest tenured employees of Jim Henson Productions at this point.
Well, and both slightly more than Jerry, right? Jerry took over for Frank when he joined the Army, and Jerry Jewell had been there already.
He came a little bit later.
Yeah. And speaking of Jerry Jewell, this is the only Muppet movie that only credits one writer. Out of all 8 films, this is the only one with one screenwriter credit.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't think that.
Several of them have 2, right? It's Jerry Jewell and Jack Burns on the Muppet movie. The 2 newer ones are Jason Segel and Nick Stoller, James Bobin and Nick Stoller. But this is the only one where it's just one guy, and it's so fitting, I think, that it's Jerry Jewell, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, it makes sense they would put a lot of trust in him, you know, to do like the first movie, sans Jim, like just on his own, because he obviously had so much experience, the tenure that he had with the Muppets. Yeah.
And it's such a good script, I think. Like, I know we'll get into it obviously a lot, but it's just such a delight from beginning to end. Like, and you can feel that he had so much fun adapting the book.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So next one is produced by Brian Henson and Martin G. Baker. We'll talk more about Brian Henson. And Martin G. Baker, we've also talked about in the past because he produced all kinds of Muppet stuff, starting with the Muppet Show and ending with the 2011 movie.
It's a good long time.
But it is a long time. And I don't think we really know too terribly much about him, right? Like, I've never seen an interview with him. I don't know who he is. I don't know what he's like at home. You know?
No, I guess not.
Yeah, I recognized his name when it came up, but I didn't know exactly where I recognized it from. Just probably seeing it in credits for other projects.
Right,
yeah. It does pop up a lot.
And then the last credit is directed by Brian Henson, who we've already talked about last week. We'll talk about him more. As we said, his directorial debut. He's 29 years old here.
Yeah.
So young. Yeah.
He never directed anything before this movie.
What an ambitious first film to direct.
Yeah, really. There's so many camera tricks and puppet tricks and
a Muppet period piece.
Right, yeah. And like just to sustain that tone, like to make it feel like a Christmas Carol and a Muppet movie as well as it does. I think we kind of take for granted how impressive it is at this point, you know? Like, this movie could so easily have been a disaster.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so good.
Totally, yeah.
So, anyways, that's any other thoughts about the credits before we move on?
You're saying specifically the credits that...
Yeah, the credits. I'll go back and...
Okay, yeah. Right, no, that's all I got, I think, for the actual
Same.
credits.
Yeah, I just thought we should get through them all and then go back and talk about, before Brian Henson and Martin G. Baker's credit, we pan down to the city, which is bustling with people.
There's a very cool transition there where we go from the miniatures of the London skyline to an actual full-sized-ish set, a building on the set. And it's really seamless. Like, I went back several times to see if I could see like a line moving across the screen or something. I can see where it happens, but I can't see like exactly when it happens or how it happens.
Huh.
Yeah, I couldn't pick it out either, but I love that first opening shot because, we've really only kind of seen the roofs up till now, and then it just pans out and you see this like overhead shot of the little town square. And it's interesting because the very first time we see it, I'm sure that they're there, but you kind of mostly see the people and not the Muppets, and then it starts panning down, and then you get the little ink spot eating the carrot, and then you get into the actual square, and then you suddenly see the incorporation of the people and the Muppets. And I think it's framed so well. It's like, I don't know, it's just such a cool first shot of the film.
Yeah. Well, and like you say, especially that ink spot on the roof, which for listeners who might not know, ink spots are these little brown creatures from Fraggle Rock who sing backup in many Fraggle Rock songs. And there's just one sitting on the roof having a snack. And that's the first Muppet we see in this movie. And that's so fun. It's such a great choice.
Yeah. And I do love that, like Julia says, it comes right after we catch just a glimpse of a crowd full of human actors. But then it's like, surprise, this is a Muppet movie. Here's a little Muppet creature.
Right. And then it gets even more Muppety because the first clear dialogue we hear is two British pigs played by Jerry Nelson and Dave Goelz. It really makes it feel like a Muppet movie to hear Jerry Nelson and Dave Goelz, like these two familiar voices from the Muppet Show, just having a chat about being British and being pigs, you know?
Yeah. And the fact that it's pigs sort of is like an early clue that the world of this movie is, I guess, more akin to the world of the Muppet Show than the movies that we've seen before, the first three movies, because in those, it's all kind of like the Muppets are entering the real world, which is mostly occupied by humans, and occasionally they'll come across another Muppet who will sort of like join forces with them. But this is a totally different, like it's kind of more of a fantasy world where humans and Muppets are pretty much equal, just existing side by side.
Right.
Yeah, and the previous three films, like the first shots of the Muppets, the introduction of the Muppet characters have been kind of more characters that we're familiar with, right? Like it's Gonzo, Kermit, and Fozzie and the Balloon. It's them, unless I'm not remembering correctly, but like in Muppets Take Manhattan, it's them on the stage, right, performing.
Correct.
Yeah,
right.
and then I guess there's the big auditorium in the Muppet movie, obviously, but there's a lot more like kind of familiar faces.
Right. Although the first Muppet we see in the Muppet movie is Dog Lion walking across the lot, weirdly.
But you really have to be looking
That's true.
for him. Right.
Yeah. Well, and then it's Statler and Waldorf, who, like you say, are very familiar. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone going to see that movie, they roll down their window and say they're there to see it.
That's true. That is them in the car, like going to the studio to see the movie. Yeah, but in this one, you're right that it's so much more just like these aren't the Muppets, like kind of like, you know, going into doing their story. It's more like, here is this world that we're like introducing you to, and there are Muppets and people like interacting with one another.
Yeah.
Right. We got some vegetables who yell, "Help, I'm being stolen," and the driver tells them to quiet down.
Yeah. So with I think that was a head of lettuce. Would the lettuce be okay with it if he was being purchased for sale? Is it just the fact that he's being stolen that he objects to?
Do you think he's even being stolen? Like he's clearly in a vegetable cart, not like someone's carriage.
Yeah, but there's a human actor like grabbing him and, and jumping off the cart.
I missed was it a melon or lettuce? I couldn't tell, but I missed him actually getting stolen off of the cart. I just thought they were objecting to like being sold.
Yeah. There is a human grabbing something. I think it's lettuce, but it could be a melon. I really don't know for sure, but so something is happening there.
So then we pan past a bunch more Muppets engaging in various antics. How do you two feel about this sequence? Because I think it's so much fun.
It's just like so much fun seeing like just the mashup of what Muppets are there. Like Sprocket's there throwing a snowball, and I love seeing Sprocket wearing like a little like outfit and just having.
He's wearing clothing.
Yeah, interacting with other puppets. You know, because we're so used to him just interacting with one of the docs and occasionally Fraggles. So yeah, it's nice just to see like a big mashup of all of these like characters who often are like minor or background characters, and suddenly they get to make up this whole little town. Yeah.
Right. Well, and I think the first named Muppet who says anything in this movie is Droop. Mm-hmm. What about my nose?
Then he gets it like smashed in the window.
Yeah, which is so funny. And it's Jerry Nelson doing the same Droop voice from season 1 of the Muppet Show and the Valentine special.
Yeah,
like it's the character Droop. It's not just some puppet.
That kind of thing is such a thrill for us Muppet nerds.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big time. And, we see our old buddy, the turkey, who there's just like a street vendor selling a live turkey, and it's the turkey from Muppet Family Christmas with no sunglasses on, which makes him look very different.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
So when the vendor pushes the turkey back down into the cart, he says something like, "Get back down there, Martin"? Did you hear that?
I did not hear his name.
I did not hear that at all, no.
I wondered if that was a little sort of like inside joke shout out to Martin Baker.
That's possible, yeah.
Very probable, yeah.
Naming a turkey after him.
Right. And then we see another street vendor, New Zealand, who says, "I throw the fish away and they come back to me here," which is great.
Yes,
what a guy!
Great to see him.
Love to see New Zealand.
What a guy!
Yeah, he's the
best. What's going on with There's a bunch of Muppets sort of sitting like on the upper floors of some of these buildings. There's a little frog tugging on a chicken. What's happening with that? Is he trying to steal an egg from the chicken?
I couldn't tell.
So, but do we think that Sprocket is like defending that chicken by throwing a snowball at the frog? Because that's basically what he does.
That's sort of the impression I got. That is when Sprocket throws the snowball. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
Sprocket's kind of
like the frog was trying to steal the chicken or something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think too. Yeah. Frog just wants to eat chicken real bad.
Oh, okay. He's trying to just like pull the chicken down and run off.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Chickens, yeah.
There's also, I couldn't tell exactly which Muppet it was, but like someone just dumps banana peels out of a window.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's just like kind of a random fractal, and just kind of shouts out banana peels,
which I'd never noticed before. But I watched this clip like multiple times, and I was like, I love it. It's great. It's just banana peels, no explanation.
And that's what they did in those days. They would just throw their garbage out the window. I guess.
But specifically banana peels.
Yes, banana peels.
Well, and we also get one of my favorite puppets is in this scene, and I don't know what its name is. Maybe one of you knows. It's that like witch wizard looking thing, has like a long nose and a little goatee.
Yeah, I know the exact one.
Muppet Wiki calls that the beggar.
Oh,
the beggar. Yeah,
because he appears in this movie holding a little cup like he's begging.
Have we seen that puppet before, like on the Muppet Show or in another production?
I don't think so. I think this is the first appearance.
Yeah, he does show up again in Muppet Treasure Island and probably some other things
later down the line. Yeah, I couldn't remember if I'd ever seen him like in an earlier thing, or if he was created for this. So I guess that would be the case. Okay,
right. I think.
Yeah.
See, I mean the wiki says who first appeared in Muppet Christmas Carol.
Yeah. There are some cool, just sort of like slightly weirder new Muppets built for this, but they still look like Muppets, kind of shaggy looking characters and scruffy looking characters that really fit in the setting of the story.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Also in the making of special that aired on TV in 1992, they say there are 280 Muppets in this movie.
I believe that.
Sure that's not an exact number, but still, that's a lot.
There's a lot of, just like Muppets in the background and in the town scenes and dance numbers. So it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Right. So, but then finally we come upon Gonzo and Rizzo selling apples at a table. Gonzo's trying to peddle their wares, Macintosh, Red Delicious. Although I'm not sure that there aren't more varieties of apples on the table, but some of these look an awful lot like Brayburns to me, or Galas maybe. But but they're excitedly selling them. Tuppence a piece while they last.
Yes.
Rizzo says.
So, this is what we do on this podcast, right? So, tuppence a piece. I started wondering, how much was that back then? How much would it be now? So, tuppence is informal British for 2 pennies. It's 2 pence. So, they're selling these apples for 2 cents each in British currency. I got to wondering, naturally, how much would an apple cost in England today? How much have they been affected by inflation since the 1840s? So I posed the question on social media. I did not get an answer at first, but then our Tough Pigs pal Martha Cronell had the great idea to tag our Tough Pigs pal Mar Dixon, who lives in England, and Mar was able to tell me that at the local grocery store nearest her, apples are currently selling for 40 pence each. So if I did the math right, and there's a very good possibility that I didn't, that means that apples have gone up 1,900% from the price that Rizzo is selling them for. So that's quite a lot of inflation for apples there.
Yeah, but I mean, is it though for 170 years? Like,
I don't know. It might be reasonable for fruit. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I did not study fruit inflation trends. Maybe I should have
should have
a little
studied
more time.
that.
Yeah.
Rizzo starts eating an apple, and Gonzo chastises him for it. Asks him what he's doing. Rizzo insists that he's creating scarcity, which I think is so funny. That Rizzo is
he's trying to drive the prices up already, get him closer to that 40 pence price.
He's gonna right. But then Gonzo notices us and says, "Hello, welcome to the Muppet Christmas Carol."
Hello, Gonzo.
That's the first time since the Muppet movie that they've said the title out loud, right? They don't say, "Come on, gang, the Muppets are taking Manhattan," right? Like, oh no, Kermit says the Great Muppet Caper when the title comes on.
Yes,
screen.
yes,
yeah, right. So it's just Manhattan. That's another way that Manhattan is the most grounded and low key. I guess they don't say the title out loud.
Yeah,
right. And now I'm trying to think if they're going to say Muppet Treasure Island. Oh, the rats do. The rats say Muppet Treasure Island, but I don't think Muppet Treasure Island. Does.
I don't think they say Muppets from Space. Probably not.
No.
They definitely say the Muppets. They say it 4,000 times in the film The Muppets. And I don't think they say Muppets Most Wanted because they say the Muppets again with the Muppets again.
Right. Yeah. Because they changed the title and then they didn't fix it.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I noted that him saying "Welcome to the Muppet Christmas Carol" felt so formal, but you're right that for the most part, this is a thing that they normally do, where they work the title in pretty early into the film.
Yeah.
Just so you know exactly which Muppet film you're in.
Right, exactly.
So does that mean that Gonzo and Rizzo, or maybe just Gonzo, knows that this is a movie, but nobody else in the movie does?
Well, I think they both know it. I mean, Rizzo's right there with him the whole time, right?
He starts chiming in. We'll talk more about it in the next clip, but Rizzo starts chiming in just as well. I just don't think that he realizes that Gonzo's going to take on a whole new persona. He wasn't included on that one.
Rizzo didn't come to rehearsal.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
He skipped that one.
But and speaking of which, Gonzo tells us, the audience, that they're here to tell this. He says, "I'm here to tell the story." Rizzo says, "I'm here for the food," which is going to be true. We're going to see that both of those things are very
This is one of Rizzo's defining characteristics in this movie.
Right. And then Gonzo says, "My name is Ch," and that's when we stop.
I wrote down in my note that the clip cuts off here. Charles what? Then a bunch of question marks.
I thought maybe he was going to say, "My name is Charo." Like he's the singer from all the variety shows.
That's it. You think of Charo as a singer. That's very charming.
What is she to you?
A personality. I don't know.
She sings. She dances.
She does. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Variety show staple. That's who never worked with the Muppets, as far as I know.
Why wasn't Charo on the Muppet Show? That should have been a no-brainer.
One of the preeminent variety show guests of the late 70s.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Exactly.
But so, any other thoughts about these 2 minutes before we move on?
No, I think, it's a pretty simple standard. We just start getting into kind of more of the meat until it cuts off at the very end. But I think, it intros us to kind of the world that we're going to be in. We see all these Muppets interacting with humans. It's a lot more integrated than we've seen in previous films. I guess with the exception of the previous film where there were a bunch of rats working in a restaurant and that was totally cool for everybody.
Right,
And we, it's a period piece. We're going to see, Gonzo's going to be Charles Dickens, but we don't even really get super into that just yet. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I just have a couple things that we kind of skimmed past. The line where Dave Goelz's pig says, Jerry Nelson's pig says, "That was a fine meal. What should we do now?" Dave Goelz's pig says, "Let's have lunch." Dave Goelz has said that they ad-libbed that. That was not scripted, but it's very funny.
That's nice.
As the camera is moving past the storefronts, the different buildings, one of them, you can read the sign. It's Duncan and Kentworthy Booksellers. And that is a nod to Duncan Kentworthy, the producer of many Muppet and Henson projects, including Fraggle Rock, The Dark Crystal, The Tale of the Bunny Picnic, and The Storyteller. I don't know if we've talked about him at length on the podcast, but in looking him up on Muppet Wiki, I stumbled upon a proposed film project that I don't think I had ever heard of before. Have you ever heard of something that they referred to as the Italian film?
No.
So the wiki quotes an interview that Duncan Kentworthy did with Television and Radio Age magazine in 1989. He talks about that he and Jim Henson are developing a forthcoming theatrical film with the working title, The Italian Film. It's a love story about an Italian girl who witnesses a miracle, which, according to Kentworthy, will not have any puppets, animatronics, or anything else which would identify it with Jim Henson.
Interesting.
So that's really interesting to hear that Jim himself was so interested in something like that.
Yeah. And
I kind of wonder how far it got. Like, is there a script? Could they do a comic book adaptation like they did for Tale of Sand?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd love to know more about that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That's all I got. Wait,
okay,
no, that's not all I got.
Okay.
Sorry. Also, in that same sequence, when the camera is moving past those buildings and Muppets are sticking their heads out the windows, Dave Goelz said in that video we talked about last week for the Oh My Disney website that he was inside that part of the set for some of these shots in a very small space, which he compared to being in a coffin. And at one point they finished shooting and everybody went to lunch and they forgot that he was there. So
I've heard this story before.
Yeah, everyone just kind of wandered off to go to lunch and he's stuck in this coffin. So he just said he had to make a lot of noise until somebody heard him and let him out.
Oh,
the hazards of being a Muppet performer.
It's terrifying to me.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely. So I mentioned last time that I'm going to track how the movie matches up with the novel A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. This one does not. There's nothing. There's nothing in this scene that is in the book other than like the setting being London at Christmas.
Charles Dickens does not introduce himself in the book.
He does not. Although he, as I said, he does do a brief prologue that he says.
All right.
But I just wanted to, can I share a couple of things that I read in the Annotated Christmas Carol by Michael Patrick Hearn that I think are fascinating?
Sure, please.
So first one is a review from The Spectator magazine when the book was new. That is such a fascinating description of the book, I think. They were baffled at the nature of the story and said, instead of preaching a homily, he tells a ghost story, not a blood-freezing tale of horror, but a serio-comic narrative in which the ludicrous and the terrible, the real and the visionary are curiously jumbled together as in the phantasmagoria of a magic lantern. Cool. Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah,
that's go out and buy a copy for 5 pence.
Well, yeah, because we don't really. It's hard for us to think about how, because it's like it's a classic. It's been around forever as far as we're concerned.
Right.
So that is fascinating to think about. Like, all right, what's this nonsense that this Dickens guy is getting up to?
Right. What's this Christmas Carol?
Yeah. So the fact that it would be perceived as, what was it, serio-comic?
Yes, a serio-comic narrative.
Yeah, because we don't really think of it as being a funny story as Dickens wrote it.
Although there's certainly a lot of jokes in it.
There are some light moments, yeah.
As we'll see, many of the joke lines in the movie are straight out of the book.
There are a few, yeah.
You know? But there were also 2 other reviews that I think are funny for how opposite they are. The London Observer says, Dickens' ghosts are too earthly to be real visitors from another world. They seem to think too much of the creature comforts of Christmas, and they have forgotten altogether the higher and holier influences of the season. To place the enjoyment of Christmas time in the mirth and jollity which accompany it, in the beef and poultry and pudding, the games and puzzles and forfeits of the evening fireside, without once advertising to the Christian character of the festival, or to the spirit and peace of conscience which constitute its true and genuine happiness. So, not Christian enough.
It's not enough Jesus.
Man.
Right.
But nothing has changed. Like, to this day, you have people complaining about the war on Christmas that doesn't actually exist.
It sounds like something someone would like write nowadays about anything coming out Christmas related. Yeah.
Right. But same. So that was December 31st, 1843. The day before, December 30th, this was in the Magazine of Domestic Economy and Family Review. They said, if ever a writer deserved public honors for the service he has rendered to his kind, that man is Charles Dickens, and the Christmas Carol should be read and reverenced in all time to come as a glorious manual of Christian duties.
Huh.
Weird.
Yeah.
I've read the book once a while ago, and I didn't read it thinking like this could use more Christianity, and I also didn't read it being like this has a lot of Christianity. It kind of walks in between.
But I think it's that same thing that happens now, where like one of those reviewers is like, this book doesn't talk about Jesus enough, it's not Christian, and the other reviewer is like, this book is all about helping your fellow man. That's Christian principles. Or whatever.
That is true. Like like read into like this is like the greater relevance of like Christianity, and it's all over this book. So
I guess that's a valid way to celebrate Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
totally.
But yes. So that's fascinating to me. And then the other thing is the book was published on December 19th, 1843. On February 5th, 1844, so 6 weeks later, 3 stage adaptations opened in London. 6 weeks later. One at the Surrey Theatre, one at the Strand, which is no relation to me, and one at the Adelphi Theatre. And the Adelphi one was authorized by Dickens. The Strand one sounds fascinating because it says it conveniently reunites Scrooge with Belle at the end.
Okay.
I think it's really funny. But so three, because, and apparently at the time there was you didn't have to pay copyright for a stage adaptation. It was just like you could just do it.
Just do it. Weird.
Yeah, so there were 3 that opened 6 weeks, like in February, not even at Christmas time.
6 weeks after like the book came out?
After 6 weeks after the book came out, yes.
What a fast turnaround. Like, maybe the one that Dickens approved had some like, I don't know, they were able to work with him maybe. The other one, like the fact that there were 2 other ones though. Yeah, in February, you would think they'd be like, let's wait until next Christmas.
Right. Well, and then also the script written for the Adelphi Theatre, the following Christmas Day, 1844, opened at the Park Theatre in New York City. That same script.
Oh,
wild! Yeah.
So 1 year after the book came out, it was a stage play in New York. Already.
I mean, that makes a bit more sense at least, though. That although New York, that is a big jump. So.
Right. It's in a different country, So it's like adaptations, like we talk all the time about how over adapted this book is.
Yeah.
3 stage productions 6 weeks after it came out.
It was already over adapted.
Yeah, that's fascinating because I don't even know how many like movie adaptations, let alone I've seen stage adaptations of it in my childhood. So, I'm well aware they've made probably several stage plays of it that are currently in rotation. So,
right. Yeah.
It's cool to learn that's been the case always. Yeah.
It's wild. But so that's all I have to share from the annotated book today. But Julia, we like to ask our guests, you know the drill, you've been here before. What's your experience with this movie? Do you remember the first time you saw it? And where would you rank it among the Muppet movies?
I don't remember the exact first time I saw it, but we definitely, if it came out in 92, we had the VHS, and it's one of those movies. I've come from a family where we would watch the same Christmas movies, the specials we'd tape off of television over and over again every year. And I still am that kind of person that's just stuck with me. And so I have probably watched this movie at least once every Christmas time since I would guess I was like 3 or 4, my mom was an English teacher and she loved Charles Dickens. So I'm sure she was super excited that this movie got made because she was like, oh, this can introduce my kids to the world of Charles Dickens, but also it's got puppets in it. So they'll like it. And this movie is like special to me. I think probably for Muppets Take Manhattan, I talked a bit about how that one like kind of like got me into being really obsessed and interested in the Muppets. This one was kind of a step before that because I went home for Christmas break, and for whatever reason, I watched this movie like 3 times over a Christmas break. I just like fell in love with it despite having seen it so many times before. And then that led me into then trying out Muppets Take Manhattan, and that steamrolled the whole thing into ending up on Tough Pigs and everything. So, and as for ranking, I knew you guys were going to ask me this, and I should have thought about it before. I mean, it's definitely in the top half for me. It might be in the top. I want to say maybe it's my 3rd or 4th favorite one. I really love this one. It's got like the music. We're not even really going to get into too much of the music in the next episode, but the music is just stellar all the way through, with the exception of one song that isn't in the cut anymore. Y'all will have your spicy. Y'all will have your spicy takes on The Love Is Gone when you get to it. I'll save that for later episodes for you guys. But the soundtrack is beautiful. I think it's a really good adaptation. I personally think this is the best adaptation of Christmas Carol. It stays true to the book, but it's fun, it's light, it's funny. It's got Muppets in it, so I'm also a little biased. I would say probably, I don't know, probably I might say my number 3, honestly, after the Muppet Caper and the Muppet movie. It might be this one. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
In this moment. Yeah.
Good top 3.
Sure. Yeah. That's how it goes for me too. I'm switching all the time.
I know.
So that's it for today. Thank you so much for being here, Julia. Listeners, you can check out toughpigs.com on the internet, Facebook, Twitter, all over the place. You can become a patron of ours on Patreon. You can email us at movingrightalong@toughpigs.com with any thoughts about these minutes, stage adaptations of A Christmas Carol, anything you want to share with us. You can follow Ryan on Twitter at @MeRyanRowe. You can follow Ryan also on Letterboxd at Movies Are Neat, and me on Letterboxd at Zeppo Marxist. Julia, where can our listeners find you?
They can find me on Twitter and Instagram at GeekGirlGrownUp. I've got some poetry, both Muppet and not Muppet related, out in the world, which you can just look up Julia Gaskill poetry and that'll pop up on Google. And then I also write for Tough Pigs occasionally, so you can usually find me there at least a few times a year, if not more.
Right. Yeah. Honestly, that's me too. I think you and I have about the same rate of output, which is like, think about how often Ryan and Joe and Jared write for the site.
I have a deep admiration, and I do not have the time to share, unfortunately.
Right. But anyways, thanks again for being with us today. Thank you to Morgan Davy for creating our logo. And now is always a great time. Everywhere that you find love, you give us a positive review on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. Tell all your friends to listen to the show. We'll be back next week for another episode of Moving Right Along. Goodbye.
Banana peels.